So this is a controversial topic for some people.
Is it controversial?
I think so. Some people in the Democratic Party. Oh, for sure. So Tulsi is introducing a legislation to aid an election integrity. Why is this controversial? Because Republicans have been supporting stopping ballot harvesting. So because Republicans support something, that means automatically that you have to be against it and that it must be a conservative thing if the Republicans support it, right?
Yep.
So Tulsi Gabbard, what did she say?
It says the strength of our democracy lies in the integrity of our elections, and no one should get between a voter and the ballot box. I introduced a bipartisan bill to improve the security of the mail-in ballot process and prevent ballot harvesting. So I think we should play her video real quick and then talk a little bit about ballot harvesting and everything else that's going on.
Hey, everybody. We're getting closer and closer to Election Day now, and it is critical to remember that the strength of our democracy lies in the integrity of our elections, that every one of us has to have faith that our vote will count. But right now, there are still many states in our country that allow for something called ballot harvesting. This is a system that allows for third parties to collect and deliver ballots for other people, potentially large numbers of people. Unfortunately, ballot harvesting has allowed for fraud and abuse to occur by those who could tamper with or discard ballots to try to sway an election for or against a certain candidate or party. Now, our vote is our voice. So whether in the midst of a pandemic, as we are now, where mail-in voting is likely to drastically increase, or even in a normal election, no one should get in between a voter and the ballot box. Now, while some states have prohibited vote harvesting or ballot harvesting, many have not, which again allows for abuse from third parties collecting and mishandling ballots. This is something that we've actually seen happen in recent elections. Now, to protect the integrity of our vote in our elections, I've introduced legislation called the Election Fraud Prevention Act with my friend, Representative Rodney Davis. Our bipartisan bill protects the chain of custody for every one of our ballots by prohibiting funding from going to states that allow this practice of ballot harvesting to occur. This bill will actually encourage states to stop this practice that's ripe for fraud and that poses a serious threat to the integrity of our elections. And we urge our leaders in Congress to take up this legislation quickly to support and ensure the integrity of our elections.
So I just want to do, Tulsi, a right-winger. Look at her. She's just being such a Republican right now.
Yeah. Says Anna, right?
Right. Nothing she said, there's nothing wrong with what she said. Everything she said is actually true. And real quick, before you read your tweet, I just want to say that during the Bernie Sanders campaign, they were ballot harvesting because the Democrats do it. So all the Democrats do it. So they were doing the same thing and they were doing that. And I remember speaking to somebody like, this isn't a good idea. Ballot harvesting can come back and bite us in the ass because we don't cheat. Like the progressives don't cheat. I mean, they don't. But the Democrats can turn around and cheat and a Republican can turn around. Anybody. It doesn't matter. And I was really turned off by it. And one person was like, yeah, the establishment Democrats have done that before against our own local candidates running for city council, running for Congress. They were saying they had experienced them doing shady things with the ballot harvesting. And I was like, yeah, why wouldn't they? I mean, there's no security. And the reason this is such a bad thing, I think, because if we had an election system where we had an integrity, where we had open and fair elections, where we could see the sourcing of our votes, where we could follow our ballots, where we could do all these things, sure, it wouldn't be a big deal to do it because it'd be very secure. But we don't have that at all. So you can't have ballot harvesting in a system where it's completely corrupt and there's so much shade, especially in California.
So I made a tweet last night before Tulsi's video, and I'm glad she hit on the proper terminology, and I'm glad she knows what's going on. These are my thoughts on the bills being introduced. First off, it strengthens the chain of custody. You heard her say the chain of custody in there. That's something that's very important. We need to talk about this. We need to understand the chain of custody and how out of whack it is. That's something that's out of whack, I put down. And Johnny and I can tell you with the new system that's going on, the votes. I'm a big advocate, and I told Jason Burmez this today on the show. I'm the biggest. If I had to make the number one change in our elections, which I would do nationwide, was I would make a law that says the counting of the ballots must take place in the place that it was voted on. In other words, I don't want the chain of custody to be messed with anymore. Right now we have these vote centers, okay, which then take their votes out of that place, take it to a satellite that would then take another person to take those votes and take them to the main place that is counted. Okay, now if you start thinking about the chain of custody, how many hands touch a ballot, a mail-in ballot? Your ballot is mailed off from the company to the post office where it goes. And the post office, 2 people are going to touch it there, deliver it to the person who's then going to take that ballot and mail it out. Now, if you had a third party, which is ballot harvesting, that person's going to come by, pick up your ballot with all these other people's ballots they pick up, which the Democrats frame it as they pick up old people's ballots that can't get to the ballot box or whatnot. But the state would fund these ballot harvesting people that would go and pick up these ballots and then deliver them. It's just something that really takes the chain of custody way out of whack. And I put it down, whether it be individuals transporting ballots by themselves, which is illegal, right? We've seen this too. Seen it in Florida. People driving up. One person. The chain of custody has to be protected at all times. So the chain of custody when it comes to our elections means there must be 2 people at all times traveling with that ballot. The ballot harvesting makes it easy for an individual to travel the ballots.
Yeah,
go ahead. You were gonna say.
I was just gonna say, and I get it. I get like if there's a little old lady that can't get to the polls, well then she should be able to mail her ballot like a normal person. But even that right now, it's like we're looking at, we need to fix the core problem of the system is that we don't have trust in our election system for obvious reasons, because we have seen our elections fraudulent, from Republicans cheating to Democrats cheating. They both cheat, and we need to stop this idea that only one cheats or that only Russian hackers come in and they push our elections, which is completely a conspiracy theory at this point. That is a real conspiracy theory. But it's just like, I understand the argument for, but that's not why they're doing it, you guys. Let's be real. If they wanted your votes to count, they wouldn't be kicking the Green Party off of the ballot. Like they wouldn't. Like, they don't want your votes to count. They want to manipulate the elections so they get the results they want. And that's the bottom line of what this comes down to. And if Republicans want to stop that, okay, I agree that's a good thing. I don't have to be a Republican or even like the Republican to agree that that is an issue that should be handled, and so much more needs to be done. But at least she's putting out legislation. At least she's doing something. Nobody else is doing anything.
And I said, or individuals changing or discarding ballots, that will help curtail that situation. But the second part of the tweet, it kind of leads into what you said. I'm happy that there are some of our elected officials who understand and are trying to fight for fair elections, right, fam?
Yeah.
But this is only a small fix in the many that need to be addressed with our elections. The biggest area of concern when it comes to our mail-in ballot lies within the contractor hired by the state. So if you can just picture a mafioso or a cartel. They have territories. This is the Jardula family. This is the Gambino family. This is the Fiorella family. You stay out of their territories, right? You understand that. That's not your family. They're the other side. But you have an understanding. Hey, I won't do business in your territory. You don't do business in my territory. The main thing is we don't let any other small businesses come in. Agreed? At the end of the day, with no Greens, no Libertarians,
no goons,
Democrats, Republicans, we take our territory. And that's how the cheating occurs. They cheat within their own areas. Now, when it comes to a general election, that's when all the laws come into play. All those elections are laws. Most of them are not built for primaries. Primaries have been considered in a court. Remember? Jared Beck, Niko House was there in the House when they said we can go into the back room, smoke cigars, pick whoever the hell we want.
Yep.
Right? They said that and they got away with it. And that's why it just drives me crazy that people are still thinking that there's, that the Democrats are not the one cheating, that Donald Trump is really trying to fix the post office, trying to do all this stuff. And I have a tweet here from Bernie Sanders on Instagram that came out today, fam. John, you got to play this because even Bernie Sanders, once again, another area where he got this wrong. And it just drives me crazy because we've spoke to top people when it comes to election integrity, and Bernie Sanders had the opportunity to protest not only the 2016 election, which he lost a lot of people, they walked away, but in 2020 they were ready to go again. So now he's spewing out just terrible bullshit information. He said that we should be able to count early. It's like, dude, early counting is early fraud. If I have inside information, I can now discredit ballots that are my opponent's ballots, goes to the back to be counted
it's
later,
really
which they did to Bernie
disappointing.
Sanders. And I can also know the areas where I got to get votes in to win that.
They used this against him.
Yeah.
They used this against him both times, especially in 2016 when they were already declaring victories for Hillary Clinton. It is one of the it's not only it interferes with the voting process too. Not only that can they cheat, but it also interferes with people who are in line who are like, well, I guess I'm just going to vote for Clinton because he already lost. It's that idea. You're not respecting the sanctity of our elections. It is a personal choice. It is a choice you shouldn't necessarily you shouldn't be manipulated on at all.
Yeah. And it's so stupid because it's just not necessary. Because bottom line is that, and Johnny will tell you too, he's been in those rooms, those machines run the counting of the ballots, right? Thousands of ballots. Then they stop, right? They shut down after a couple days, after they counted the enormous amounts of ballots, and they wait for other ballots to come in before they start counting again, and they'll start counting them again. So you don't need to count ballots earlier. The machines don't need to count ballots early at all. In fact, it just creates more areas for fraud once again.
And error.
Do you have, is it playing at all?
Here is the fear. The fear is that at 8 o'clock on the evening of the election day evening, you may have Trump in the lead because the Republicans, according to various studies, are more likely to vote in person. Democrats are more likely to vote through mail-in ballots.
I don't know where
and I fear very much that what Trump will say is 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, I'm winning. And we have reason to believe, or we have investigated that all of these mail-in ballots are fraudulent. And we're not going to allow them to be counted. Thank you, I'm your president, go home, have a nice night. We cannot allow that to happen. Every vote cast must be counted. We have a country, especially because of this pandemic, where more and more people are voting through mail-in ballots. Those ballots must be counted. And Trump has got to stop this nonsense about suggesting that mail-in ballots are fraudulent.
Yeah.
So we have got to be very, very vigilant about what's going to be happening in the next 50 days. In my view, we've got to do everything we can to make sure that Joe Biden wins, that he wins big. But we have got to be clear that every vote cast in this country has got to be counted.
It's that, fam, go ahead. I mean, I can't begin to tell you the level of disappointment.
No, I know. So I understand what he's saying, that every vote should count. Every vote should count, but this is not how you achieve every vote counting. I obviously Trump is using they're all fraudulent for his own narrative too. Like, we can't deny that that's what he's doing. But the way to fix the issue isn't to just pretend that it's not an issue just because he's saying he's using it for his own gain, because he is doing that.
Well, where Donald Trump is wrong in the situation is that he's allowing certain friendly contractors like the state of Florida, where he knows he's got the contract.
Well, no, they're going to cheat. Like, they're going to cheat. They're going to try to cheat too. Republicans cheat in the general, Democrats cheat in the primaries.
But the rhetoric from Barr, and this whole idea, the fact that when Barr said to Wolf, it's like, this is really bullshit, the fact that we're ignoring the main fact, and put it up here. Jimmy Carter said the danger of mail-in voting. Absentee ballots remain the largest source of potential voter fraud. And that's just the bottom line, plain and freaking simple. That is the truth, fam. You know what I'm saying? I don't trust these Democrats. I think that's where they have a lot of areas where they can cheat with this going on and stuff like that. But it even says here, absentee ballots remain the largest source of potential voter fraud. Johnny has looked at those contracts. We talked about this stuff with our man, right? Okay, Johnny, do you want to talk a little bit about this? You looked at those contracts. You've seen everything they can do. Is there a potential? We talked to Dr. Rebecca Mercury, who does studies on actually security tracking of finances, of checks, of lotteries, and then she ties it into the ballots, saying that these ballots that they make are just so fugazi half the time, right? Your opinions about this?
Yeah, I mean, mail-in voting, I don't know. I don't even know anymore, Pasta. I don't even know, because it's like fucking. There's no democracy in our voting. There's no democracy out on the streets. The police are arresting journalists. The federales are fucking abusing people out on the streets. Yeah, it's looking more and more like the fall of an empire. The fall of an empire.
And I just want to say on the ballot stuff, like, it would be. I would love to have vote by mail. I would absolutely love to have it for everybody. I would, if we had a system that was fair and we could track our vote. We could knew who we. Yeah, because guess what, you guys? I think that's going to be the future. I think the future is going to be you can vote by phone. You can
online.
vote by that.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. That's the thing, you guys. In order to get there, we have to fix our system. Our system isn't secure because a lot of people, the other side of the argument is possible. Well, Washington has more better elections and they mostly vote. They're all vote by mail.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
But
too.
also, but no, hold on. But I just want to say, and I agree. Like their system is a lot better because they can chase the ballots. They can go and find the ballots and they can make sure that they're accurate and they go back and get the signatures. I've talked to those people. They've been doing it for a while. Washington is a state that's better, but at the same time, there's still no security with
no
these ballots. There's no audit. There's no we don't know what's going on. So the potential for cheating is there, and it's not just Republicans who cheat. You guys, we know this. We've been through this since 2016 with Bernie, but way before that, even there's been multiple times both parties have cheated.
See, I'm for. Only in certain situations should there be absentee ballots. But then again, if we're going to make sure that people have to show up, because I believe it's the most honest way, if they show up and vote and do their civic duty, we have to make sure that that system's in play, and that's quick and fast and efficient too as well, because people got to get back to life. So there's so many things that we have to fix. But if the tracking system is that you have to, once a ballot goes out, the post office grabs it and hits it with their machine. We need to know when and where these ballots are coming out of. You know what I'm saying? People don't even know who the contracts are right now in Washington. I'm trying to figure out who the contracts are in Washington. I'm looking at the contracts in Maine right now and stuff like that. But people don't even understand that we outsource this out to another company. And the ballots that come in, we don't even know if they're valid from the people coming in. Now, I understand Washington does the count live on TV, and I think it's great. And it's all mail-in. But we still need a proper auditing process in place. And I checked. The state of Washington does not have a proper auditing process in place. It's just an area, they used to call it the secret ballot, which is ripe for fraud. So, I mean, once again, it's the whole spectrum we have to fix, fam. I agree with you, but I'm just one of those people that I believe the absentee ballots should be limited to people who are older or veterans across the seas or certain issues. However, how can I sit there and pitch a system where I say you should show up, proper IDs, all that stuff?
Yeah,
you know
I'm not for
I want to
that.
get into all that stuff right now and stuff like that, but that system has to be fixed. And then the counting, the tabulation. I mean, there's so many, at least at the very least, though, we have to have honest conversations about it, right? We have to put everything on the table and say these are the areas and whatnot. We stopped doing that in this country.
Well, we stopped talking about the cheating in general because it's true that Republicans do want more hurdles for people because they don't want people of color voting. They don't want minority. They don't want all these people voting because they know that the votes are going to go against it. However, the Democrats do it in a different way.
Yeah.
And they especially do it in the primaries. So it's hypocrisy here. Again, what I'm trying to point out is that we're seeing a real issue that needs to be resolved, politicized. We're seeing it be politicized. Either if you're a Democrat, you fall in line this way. If you're a Republican, you fall in line this way. I believe we need to completely redo the entire election system because right now people don't have trust in their elections. And if you make the elections fair and transparent, then people are going to be more likely to be open to things like the vote by mail thing. But we don't have a system where we can trust that that's going to work either. So I don't think, honestly, I don't even think voting in person is secure at all. We've seen that it's not. So I honestly think this is just a small, minute, tiny step because if voting in person isn't possible at this point right now in a lot of places. So
it's terrible. I mean, it should be a lot better and efficient.
But we should redo the whole thing because it's not just we need to attack the whole source of the problem.
And we're not even getting closer. We're moving further away. When we're listening to distractions and what's going on and stuff like that. Like I said, if you want to say that, Donald Trump is using the mail-in ballots for his benefit, you have to also call out the Democrats too as well. If you want to say we need an audit across the board, you know what I'm saying? And not for nothing, that's the guy who gave us a chance to do the audit. And you're talking about mail-in ballots. Where do you think they screwed you in Los Angeles, Bernie? It wasn't Biden folks that were shut out on election day waiting in those lines. Where did he get all those votes from, Berg? Just think about it. I mean, I don't know for sure, once again, because we don't have an auditing process. They're not showing us. Everything's done behind closed door. It's like the grand jury.
Well, the exit polls are way off, and that's what we've talked about countless times on this show.
The pre-polls. right? Biden was polling at 7.8% on his highest poll.
But the exit polls are actual data. So
exactly. I'm saying to even back up when people go, "Oh, the exit polls, they're just it's both." We have it on both sides. He wasn't polling close to 8%. Everybody said it was going to spell doom for him in California. He wasn't even coming to the conventions, fam. We saw one Biden sign. I get my middle finger up, but I mean, come on. Seriously, we got him on all ends, and I suspect a lot of it was done through the mail-in system. We looked at those contracts. We saw everything they had. We're just fighting for transparency, and we're not even getting that.